All right, pretty much, let's see, recapping Tuesday's call, right? We had the narrative of a potential retracement continuation. That was pretty much what we were looking for, but unfortunately that's not what we got. We got a break of structure, mitigation, continuation, right? And which led to momentum in play, low momentum in the correction. And I believe, and based on the zoom from Tuesday, right, we could see that pretty much our expectation was to see, we get that bullish reaction because we had already taken structure. We're at strong momentum. The downside move was very slow. Not to mention the fact that we did have a last minute liquidity grab, which created the new high, took liquidity, right? And that pretty much dictated the overall bias for the rest of the week. Now, one thing I didn't expect was definitely to see FOMC pretty much take this to the moon. I did not expect that, right? But this now gives us another type of bias, right? And trying to understand what is happening as a whole, right? Pretty much what we saw occur, right, was a transition. Let's see, where is this box here? Right, we saw the transition occur, and a couple of weeks ago, right, we were considering, right, for this to be a schematic occurring, right, with a spring optimism, LPS optimism, right? But that had pretty much been negated, right, after we saw this occur and the continuation occur, right? That had pretty much given us the pause in phase E, and it was a lot harder to try to dictate whether we were going to get bullish momentum or not. But as we just talked about, we had the bullish mitigation, strong momentum, taking out of a major structure point, which was the point of optimism from before, right? So there's two options here. We could have mitigated or took the structure point out, and that's exactly what happened. Then we have an internal liquidity grab, and that was the continuation, which, as you can see, played perfectly, right? So not much to say. This is this is pretty much exactly what we were expecting. We just didn't expect the speed of the move to occur. Excuse me, right? But that just goes hand in hand with what we said over the past couple months, right? That news is only essentially a catalyst that accelerates the price where it was originally meant to go. And perfect example, right? It doesn't make sense to me how this stuff can be random if we saw this give us a proper setup, right, before giving us the news volume, right? So, momentum, understanding fundamentals is obviously a very good tool, right? And now if you can combine the knowledge of knowing how to read fundamentals and having to combine that with the technical analysis that we have, that could be a very great tool. Not necessarily something I personally use, just because I haven't taken the time to legitimately look into it. But over time, obviously, I'm going to look into it. I'm going to have that be part of my analysis, just because it's very crucial. I would say more so in a macro basis. In an intraday basis, I would say technicals do rule. But yeah, the classic SMC setup, which one? If there was equal lows here, let me see. If there was equal lows, if there was equal lows here and we took liquidity, yeah, that would have been a pretty much a typical SMC setup. But unless, what are you referring to? Which one? This one here? Yeah, I thought it would be too easy, but the only thing that was concerning me was this, right? Keep in mind what we talk about with liquidity. I did not want to see something like this, I did not want to see something like this. Obviously, I'm comparing the daily time frame to H1, but sorry, wrong pair. But right, that is what I wanted to see. All right, I mean, not what I wanted to see, but that was kind of what I was expecting to see. And that pretty much, you could see that it worked out. Yeah, dynamic, of course. The only issue also with assuming the reversal here is that we are fighting this, and that's very worrying. But yeah, I mean, moving on to EU. Right, this is one I was very lucky with, if I'm being honest. Right, just because this is actually just a limit position. Let me see. Right, so pretty much where it was confusing me on Tuesday or was that Tuesday? This was the 16th or 15th. Yeah, pretty much the 15th of midnight. Yeah, pretty much after Tuesday's Zoom. Right, the only thing that was confusing me was wanting to sell this low in terms of not waiting for a higher POI. But pretty much I had left a limit here from this morning, from the previous morning, I'm sorry, that was based on M10 Wick, and we were based on a M5 inefficiency, I believe. Yeah, M5 inefficiency, M10 Wick. And the only reason why this kind of mattered to me was because of the aspect of a turbulence point potentially continuing structure to the downside. All right, and I'd left this overnight, and pretty much how I had placed my stop, obviously there is potential wick here, but I referenced the M10 wick inside of the M5 inefficiency, and I obviously had my, I like to have my set 2 pip SL, right? And spread almost took me out, but it didn't. And so pretty much this happened, I believe, the weekend, not the weekend, I'm sorry, the London session right after our Zoom. Right, so now the tricky part here, right, was if I didn't catch this limit, I probably wouldn't have caught this trade, if I'm being honest. Because if we zoom in and if we wanted to continue order flow, this would have been very messy during London session, right? In terms of a potential, oops, wrong one. In terms of a potential order flow continuation, right, that obviously gave unwillingness, a liquidity grab, but no premium pricing. So that would have been a bit tough for me to catch. Even after that, you could see the leg took out structure, solidifying the bias, but the pullback was only a liquidity grab. And I'm pretty sure that was maybe a 15-minute inefficiency. No, 10. Yeah, no. See, so it would have been a lot harder to catch, depending on how you see SCs. This wouldn't have made much sense to me, but it's a lot harder to catch. And even during New York session, I'm sorry, I didn't get the opportunity to catch a re-entry just because of a potential liquidity grab, right? But that does not mean I'm looking to buy here because we did not take structure. So lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. As you can see, that continued structure, so is just something that I left alone in the morning. Would have wanted that re-entry, but oh well. Moving on to AU. Right, this is one I actually wanted to see fully bullish. right? Until we mentioned on Tuesday the bearish liquidity grab that took structure, right? Because in terms of low, high, structure break, solidified low, another solidified low, this then takes structure to the upside, right? So this solidified low creates a new high, but this new high takes structure and leads to a bearish liquidity grab. And that pretty much nullifies the entire bullish bias. And all I did from here was use the internal structural range. And from there, obviously you can see the H1SC here. But more importantly, I believe this is M15, was it? Yes. Yes, so as we can see, M15 Wick, right, was my original reference point. And as you zoom in, I believe it was M3, the M3 Wick here, right? So it was a bit confusing to me because there's obviously this wick here, and that was taken out, right? But because when we zoom in, right, you see the M3 wick. So I made sure to cover both, and that was pretty much another limit position there. Lucky there too. Right, and the cool thing that I noticed here is this is also why I like to reference a minor intraday or major intraday POI, because as you can see, both the M5 wick and the M3 wick are residing inside of this M15 wick. And as you can see, this wick is only at 1.5 pips big. So right, I'd rather just cover both instead of wanting to catch a 0.5 pip SL. But I mean, with AU, I don't really like to go below 1.5, and below EU, I don't really like to go below 2, right? So I usually have that set unless, you know, I need more, a bigger SL per se. But this now dictates right, a full bearish bias, and this is a lot tougher now to want to make a play off of because we are fighting strong momentum on the daily, strong momentum on the weekly, right? And I'm pretty sure it's high volume. Yeah, very high volume, right? So honestly, we could very easily see, I personally see that being taken out. If we're looking for a reference point, this is a good place to start. Right, but for the meantime, this could be seen as unwillingness based on high, low, break of structure, solidified low, unwillingness, break of structure, and this is now unwillingness based on this entire high here. Right, so this could be overall unwillingness, but we also have to reference, right, where our overall leg is. So it's very conflicting, but I do see this wick being taken out in terms of liquidity. And I am still bullish. We just need some reason to want to be bullish, per se. Let's see. GU is the only one I didn't trade, unfortunately, because this one actually gave the biggest move. As you can see, I've been pretty much trying to review order flow. Right, today I'm pretty sure a lot of you caught a very nice trade today. We can review that in a bit. But in terms of Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, there wasn't necessarily a lot going on, right? There was this opportunity here, but this is very hard for me to catch based on me trying to trade a model. Let's actually look into it right before. Right, even if this is playing a POI, realistically, I do want to catch that re-entry there. But if you're wanting to play in terms of a continuation, then there's obviously high-low retracement, high-low retracement, right? High-low retracement, right? But unfortunately, I didn't get that pullback, and I wasn't able to trade that. But, I mean, with that being said, it's honestly, next week may be very boring, if I'm being honest. Could be very, very boring. Yeah, very, very boring, especially after so much momentum today. For all we know, we could just continue momentum to the downside. Obviously, if this would be picking a low, but this is a good place to start. But based on how we're going to close, this week, it's pretty unlikely to see a bounce there. Because we're referencing this. Yeah, we're looking at our monthly. Who knows? I mean, looking at our monthly, who knows? Yeah, what a week. Definitely. I know you guys caught a very nice GU trade today during London. Right, very, very nice. We're pretty much bearish. I'm sorry, pullback, retracement, unwillingness, break of structure. But although this was a break of structure, right, there is a pullback in place. Right, and immediately after we see that, we do see equal highs, break of structure, right? Liquidity does not signify bias. And I'm pretty sure you guys took the trade off of anywhere here. Maybe here. I'm assuming that's what you played. Busy selling EU, yeah. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Where exactly was your sell again? Did you take in New York or London? It was actually liquidity grab? Yeah, I thought so too, but I guess Oanda didn't show that. Pre-New York. I believe it was here, if I'm not mistaken. Now my question is, were you waiting to put your SL until this low was taken out? Five-second wick. 5-second wick where? Here or here? You entered based on what? You entered based on this? Ah, okay. Okay, so the way I see it, liquidity grab, low, high, retracement, unwillingness, break of structure, liquidity grab, and you pretty much entered based on that per se. Nice, very nice. Yeah, very nice. 15-second wick. Very tight SL. Yeah, pretty much a pip, very tight. Yep. The liquidity grab is usually a very good way of seeing pretty much the entire bias present itself. Like me personally, I would have wanted to see this and this so that I could have played this. Yeah, see, this is much more reasonable for me. Much more reasonable. Now the hard part is as soon as we take structure, right, it's hard to move my SL because this is also a POI here. That's also a POI there. So it's hard to move my SL, but I could cut my risk in half. Right, and then from here, break of structure, new point of invalidation, and this is your conservative entry. A second conservative entry, yep. It's nice, very nice. Very nice. 1 to 15. Intraday, not bad at all. Not bad at all. I also have the Solidified high and low video coming out today. It was supposed to come out yesterday, but I forgot to upload it. Sorry. But yeah, just that's for Falco. I know you asked me about it. It is being uploaded today. Right, I have a lot of stuff to do today, actually. I'm actually doing the blog post, the new blog post, if you guys want to hear my rough draft. It's on my iPad. Yeah, so I decided to do get to the point today, and it's pretty much a quote, and then I'm pretty much dissecting what get to the point is. So the quote that I used, right, is actually really, like, it actually got me by surprise that I found this one. Right, so the quote that I used: in the age of technology, there is constant access to vast amounts of information. The basket overflows, people get overwhelmed. The eye of the storm is not so much what goes on in the world, it is a confusion of how to think, feel, digest, and react to what goes on. Right, and I guess that's a byproduct of living in the information age, even though now we're kind of transitioning over to a new age. That's I think it's very accurate, and I could tie that very well to getting to the point. So pretty much the approach that I had with getting to the point is pretty much in any successful relationship, no matter if the parties are committed business partners, if they're married, if they're simply acquaintances, coherent communication is an absolute must in pretty much getting your message across. So as you're transitioning into the experience age, one of the main drawbacks from living inside of the information age is actually in the title. With the emergence of the internet, we now have instant access to almost all types of knowledge, literally at our disposal whenever we want. And I think that's insane, right? But it's hard to appreciate that because it's pretty much what we've lived with over the past decade. Like pretty much, I think my first phone was, how old was I when I got my first phone? 7th grade, like 8 years ago ish. Over the past 8 years, I've had a phone. You know, it's something that's hard to appreciate now, but it is overwhelming once you really dissect it. So how is this a drawback? Well, in 2015, Microsoft released a study claiming that the average human attention span decreased 12 to 8 seconds over a 15-year time period, which is insane. I mean, I completely relate to that. My attention span is horrible. Therefore, when acknowledging the significance of coherent communication and the decrease in average attention span, is it not logical to consider getting your message across as efficient as possible? In other words, getting to the point. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Yeah, it is. And I mean, there's a lot of things you can blame. The life we live now is nowhere near what our parents lived, and the life our siblings are living now, or the kids these days now that are living, is nowhere near what we were living. Right? Like at my little brother's age, I was out at the park. This dude is grinding out video games day in, day out. You see what I'm saying? And it's only gonna get worse. Are we becoming dumber? I don't think we're becoming dumber. I think we're becoming lazier. Discipline the next generation. Yep, but that's a task. That's definitely a task. Can you watch EG? No, I don't want to look at EG anymore, bro. This is the last time I'm gonna show you EG. I'm not gonna look at this ever again. Yeah, this is sloppy. I believe we said we were expecting these lows to be hit, right? I believe that's what, and I think you said you sold here and we were looking for these lows. I believe that's what we were looking at, unless I don't recall. Yeah, so that target was hit, and it looks like a daily liquidity grab, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Look at that weekly. Yeah, that's no bueno. Reacting from the open of a weekly, that's no bueno. What a slugfest this has been over the past, what? 4 months? 4 months, yeah, basically. Very boring, yeah, that's why I don't touch this anymore. I'm good on that. Because the move already happened. The move has already occurred, so all this is basically correction. Right, and who's to say this isn't a slot fest until we reach back up here? Right, I don't see a reason in buying up here. High risk, and I don't want to miss. I wouldn't want to miss a downside move trying to play the upside move. But we'll see. But yeah, this is boring. I don't. Yeah, this is not nice. Anyways. So here's the thing that I noticed, bro. It's the only way you're gonna learn something is if you want to learn something. I think attention span doesn't matter when desire overcomes it. When I want to go do something, I'm gonna go do it and I'm gonna go enjoy it. You see what I'm saying? And that is essentially another way of portraying the state of flow. Oh yeah, I have short attention span with like when I'm doing homework, bro. It's awful doing homework. Like the class I'm currently taking, literally this science course. It's an elective that I need to take, and it's pretty much environmental science. So boring, and I can't sit here and you know, I can't sit here and you know, do it with full focus, with full desire. So I think attention span and desire are positively correlated. I have a question on Falco's trade. We'll ask him. Let's see. Round pair. So ask him. 5-minute chart. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1 second. Yes. 5 minute.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 5 minutes. Yeah, let me see. Yes, do you see the leg on the left side? The leg which broke down. Yes, this leg.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect to take out this leg before I enter in the sell.
You expect to what?
To take out this leg first.
You want to take this entire leg out before selling?
Yes.
Why? Why?
To take a liquidity.
Yeah, but you're
like Jew trade. It's very similar.
I'm confused on what you're saying.
Let me try to explain.
Draw on the screen, please. Draw on the screen, please.
Sorry?
Draw on the screen.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. What is that? Okay, what are you telling me? So let me see. You're telling me that you were waiting for this to be taken. That's what you're saying. Hello?
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Mic off.
Uh-huh.
So yes, I expect to take this high before it's going down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid to take this trade, to fall to take it, because I expect, okay, it's going up to take the liquidity of this leg, and after that, okay, I'm looking for sell. So I miss a lot of trades because of that. So
But
I'm
why
confused.
are you waiting? Why are you allowing liquidity to give you a bias? This is literally what we've been talking about for literally, I think, the past month. Why are you waiting for liquidity to give you a bias? What is the point? What is the point of a structural range if you're just gonna let liquidity pretty much counteract every single thing that you're studying, right? Because you are actually, let me do this on the on this. You are bearish, correct?
Yes.
In order to come back up here or up here, you need a pullback, right?
Yes.
So how does the pullback start?
What?
How does the pullback start?
From here down.
But how does it start?
How start the pullback?
Yeah, how do you start a pullback after an impulse? Internal structure. You see? What's the entire point of structure if you're relying so much on liquidity? Liquidity is a target. This is a target. If you are, yes.
Liquidity is only the target, not to influence in buy and sell.
Then why are you trying to wait for it to take liquidity in order to have a bias? You see what I mean?
Yes.
So how do you start a pullback? How do you start a pullback? I just gave you the answer.
I don't understand your question. How I start the pullback?
How does a pullback start after an impulse?
Bro, I don't know.
All right, bro. I need you to start paying attention, okay? So preliminary structure break.
Yes.
This continuation POS.
Yes.
So we have a low, high, low, high, low, high, break of structure. What does that mean?
It's going down.
Then why are you waiting for this? You see what I mean? So you are now bearish. You are now bearish. Right? You could say this is the pullback of this, but that doesn't make sense if you're bearish. You see what I mean? So the reason Falco took this trade was because you took this structure out, making this a bearish structural range, and this did not take this out. So this is unwillingness. You see what I mean? So now, because you understand you're bearish, on top of being bearish, you can't justify what you're telling me. You see what I'm saying? And let me go to
now I understand.
So
Perfect.
once you start to zoom in, okay, once you start to zoom in, no matter what, it doesn't matter what type of position you take inside of here, this is your point of invalidation. And keep in mind, every single thing that I'm explaining to you now is in the course. Continuation BOS, structural range, point of invalidation, right? I think the solidified high and low video that's coming out today will probably help y'all more with understanding when a pullback starts. And I think that's a good video. But either way, no matter what, doesn't matter what position you're taking here, point of invalidation. So if you do get that grab up here, that push up, then, right, this is a bullish break of structure. So now if you're trying to sell, you'll probably lose. You see what I mean? That's why I don't have you guys trade that smart money concept model, because it doesn't make sense from a structural perspective. In order for it to make sense, you need to see liquidity. I'm sorry, wrong drawing. Liquidity, liquidity grab, POI. That's the only way this model will make sense. If you have an internal structure break after taking liquidity, because that dictates a bearish narrative. You see what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It has to break structure. Do you see what I mean? Structure will get you further than any concept I can teach you. Anything I could ever tell you. If you understand structure, you will more than likely see winning trades. Because I'm pretty sure any loss that you can come back to is probably a structure issue or a structure misplay, right? Am I lying or am I? Because almost every one of my losses are based on structure. Doesn't necessarily mean I don't know what a, like, it's not necessarily that I don't know what an SC is, what an inefficiency is, right? It doesn't mean I can't read a trend, right? But the confusing part with structure is correlating different structural ranges. That's pretty much the key. Okay, so does that make sense? Nico, does that make sense?
Sorry again, man. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So GU, the same setup. So if you want to explain me the structure,
which
like
one?
how it's going up to come back down.
Which one are you
Now
saying?
it's
Where?
in GU 5 minutes.
Let's see. Where?
Okay, let me show you. Look. For example, here it's bearish, okay, bearish, okay, like that, okay, and broke to the down. So if I will take here,
Okay.
yes, so if I will take that, it's a loose trade. So in this
and you also have to understand, you also have to understand EU and GU do not move the exact same way. That's why pair behaviors is a thing. You see what I'm saying? It's, you're trying to trade the same setup in every pair, and I don't think that makes sense.
No, so the leg is full leg, like you mark now. Okay.
Yep,
okay, let me see
definitely trickier. Like, here's what you have to understand is, let me see. Let's go to FXCM just because you actually have the liquidity grab there. So this, can you delete your drawings, please? Right, so if you're telling, can you delete that, please? If you're trying to tell me, so this is your, I got you, okay. So if you're looking at our overall leg, this is your structural range. This is your preliminary leg here. Right, yeah. So if you're trying to play based on here, for one, this is not a mitigation. So this is hard for me to play here because this is not a mitigation to begin with, okay? So that's sign number one, that not a trade I would take. Two, we broke structure, solidified high. Once this happens, I'm now bullish for the time being. I'm bullish. right? So now I can assume a retracement continuation, right? Because we are technically bullish, but we now have low, high retracement. And what is this? Right. Right, so tell me, let me ask you something. If you see low, high retracement, are you gonna buy here? Are you going to buy there? Nico?
Oh man, I'm so confused. No, I gonna sell because it's bearish, right?
Thank you, yes. So, we cannot sell at the time. This means that this bullish movement is the pullback of this. You see what I mean? But you need a reason to want to execute. And what is your reason to execute? What is your reason to execute here if you want to sell?
Let me see. It's here. No?
Why?
Because this is the leg who broke this.
And what does that mean?
To down. And take the liquidity from this leg. Or not?
Huh? I'm sorry?
This leg didn't take the liquidity from here.
It actually did.
Yes, and after that broke a structure.
So what does it signify? What does it signify?
So it signifies going down.
What is this? What does it signify? But what is it? What is it?
Sorry. I don't remember the name. I see.
What?
I don't remember the name. Sorry.
What is this? What is this?
The leg. The leg.
But what kind of leg is it?
It's not in.
It's a liquidity grab, bro. It's a liquidity grab. This is a liquidity grab. We took previous high and then took preliminary structure. That is a liquidity grab. That is a concept in the course, bro. So that is why it makes sense for them to trade that, because you are bearish. You are now scalp bullish, right? And you now have a bearish liquidity grab. So what does that show? A bearish narrative. Yes, bro. So you see what I'm saying? This is why it's super crucial to take the process seriously. Remember how I told you? Why you need to sit for 4 to 6 weeks and learn the concepts. Because you cannot trade something you do not know. And you cannot know something you do not study. You see what I'm saying? So I want you not to see this as me getting on your ass, even though it kind of sounds like I'm getting on your ass. But I want you to see this as you need to learn what you're trading in order to trade something. You see what I'm saying? Because you need a concept, you need concepts, right? From structure to the concepts that we use in terms of SE and efficiency to create a trading plan, which is what you are trading, right? In terms of concept definition, right? And you use your trading plan to then start trading. And once you start seeing sequences, that is a trading model. And that is refined over time, right? And honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, 6 weeks is not enough time. 6 weeks is not enough time in terms of the process. You will not learn all these concepts in 6 weeks, right? But because people want to be in such a rush, and because they want to be asking questions left and right, they want to talk to people left and right, they want ideas left and right, right? That emphasizes why the process is there. But I have it in such a short time because I let people learn the hard way, and it works every single time. So you see, like, now that you put yourself on the spot, for one, thank you for putting yourself on the spot, because this is a great way for you to learn, right? And you now know what you have to do from here. So you have to figure out, one, what are you trading? This is what I talked about in the in that last video I posted in phase 6, right, Lewis? This is pretty much what I was talking about. The one that you said you enjoyed. Right, where you pretty much, for one, right, the principle, I already gave you the principle that you're trading. I already gave that to you. You are looking for a trade based on an overall bias or a medium-term bias, and entering based on a smaller time frame to obtain a byproduct of high risk to reward, right? And if you do it efficiently, right, then you only have to take maybe a trade, 2 trades every 2 weeks, and you get a large return, right? But easier said than done, because that's just the principle. Easier said than done. Then you have to move to bias. I'm sorry, you have to move to trading plan. And trading plan is what you're trading, how you were trading it, that essentially the concepts and the definitions, right? And it goes on from there and there and there. Yes, bro. I mean, the guys are here for you. The people are here for you. But you have to realize that these people can help you, but they're not going to hold your hand. They're just not. And if you can't even tell me that this is a liquidity grab, then that just shows to me you haven't efficiently watched the course, because there's literally a video specifically on this. You see what I'm saying? So now, for the people watching this after the fact, after the Zoom, and if you're just now beginning, now you see why I emphasize the process so much. It's not that I don't want to answer your questions, but you learn better if you answer them yourself. So that way, I'm just here to support you. I'm here to give you those tiny, those tiny turns that you might need. Because if I have to sit here and teach you every single concept, you're probably not going to learn, if I'm being 100% honest. Right? Like, we can go on about this all day, right? But at the end of the day, process is there because you need to focus. Right? And the principle isn't, the hardest principle here isn't necessarily trading, learning the trading concepts. It's about finding that discipline. Because the same discipline applies to working out, to starting a hobby, starting a new business. Right? Exactly. And eventually it will click. How do I know? Look at the people in the group. For some, it's taken months. Some it's taken over a year. Some haven't figured it out yet, even if they joined RCV day 1. It's all different. But at the end of the day, you have to find your path, you see? Yeah, and exactly. So if you don't understand parts of the course, message me. Like, hey, this video at this part is not making sense to me. So let me see, what's his name in here? No, he's not on here. One of our newer guys, he messaged me because he didn't understand the word in one of the videos. So he literally just screen recorded it, sent it to me, and I told him, hey, this is what I said. Cool, you're going on about your day. Right? But you see, like, you can't make that excuse. You can't make that excuse. So I hope this teaches you something. I hope this teaches you something. But yeah, do you guys have any questions, concerns? If not, we can go ahead and end it off here. Perfect. So are we good? Cool. All right, then I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Continue from there.